Trump got an escort in Saudi Arabia. Not that kind. A military escort from the Saudi Air Force. 47 kicking off his first major international trip of the second term. Usually presidents go to Canada, Mexico, or a NATO ally first. Trump picked Saudi Arabia because that's where the money is. The Saudis rolled out the lavender carpet. Over there, lavender is a symbol of generosity. It represents the blossoming wildflowers in their deserts. Trump, right on cue, rocking a lavender tie to match. The Saudi crown prince breaking protocol and greeting Trump personally on the tarmac. Usually they send an underling. Trump got a handshake. Remember, Biden gave the prince a fist bump after calling him a pariah, then begged the kingdom to pump more oil. And the prince was like, sorry, Joe, not happening. In Saudi Arabia, to quote the great Lil' Kim, it's about money, power, and respect. That's Trump's language. A traditional welcome coffee ceremony followed, but POTUS isn't a coffee drinker. So they gave him a cup and he held it like it was poison. Trump over-caffeinated. Can you imagine? They should have just given him a Diet Coke. The Saudis claim Trump later took a sip, but we think he faked it. The coffee ritual symbolizes hospitality, friendship, honor, and respect. Back in the beast, dozens of Arabian horsemen holding American and Saudi flags escorted him through the streets. In Saudi Arabia, horses represent beauty, nobility, and pride, whereas in America, they're just another thing we bet on. Then the honor guard welcomed the president, each holding golden swords. The Arab swords stand for justice, strength, and sovereignty in Saudi culture. But the most meaningful symbol of all, a mobile McDonald's truck. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. But Trump didn't grab a Big Mac. He had other lunch plans. The Saudis hosted the whole cabinet, plus American business titans at the royal court. On the menu, miso beef with fermented vegetables and bacon crumbles to start. Main course, grilled black Angus and silky potatoes. And an extra virgin olive oil parfait with strawberry salad for dessert. But they barely had time to eat. They were too busy cutting deals.
We have the biggest business leaders in the world here. They're going to walk away with a lot of checks for a lot of things that you're going to provide. And in the United States, it's probably 2 million jobs that we're talking about.
Executives from Coca-Cola, Citigroup, IBM, Delta, United, BlackRock, Google, and Amazon, all in the desert with Trump. Also, Musk was there. Big balls stayed in D.C. to watch the fraud. But 47's the main attraction. He managed to shake every hand in the kingdom. If you were a Saudi citizen, you probably shook his hand. After a record rope line, the prince drove the president around in a golf cart before dinner, then played Trump's favorite song. I don't think the village people would have survived too long in Saudi Arabia, but that's neither here nor there. Golf, McDonald's, jet, swords, and the YMCA. The Saudis are laying it on thick. But Trump came on a mission: spread money and peace.
The new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism.
We know the Saudis aren't the nicest guys, but the Middle East isn't what you'd call a nice neighborhood. When you go to a bad neighborhood, it's nice to have a friend. Biden called the prince a killer. What'd that get us besides $5 gas? Not a lot. Trump took a different tack.
If I didn't like him, I'd get out of here so fast. You know that, don't you? He knows me well. I do. I like him a lot. I like him too much. That's why we give so much, you know? Too much. I like you too much. Great guy.
After that, Trump was basically like, how do you sleep at night?
Mohammed, you sleep at night? How do you sleep? Huh? Just thinking. What a job. He tosses and turns like some of us. Tosses and turns all night. How do I make it even better all night? It's the ones that don't toss and turn. They're the ones that will never take you to the promised land, won't they? But you have done some job.
The point of the trip is to tell the region, let's make money, not war. Nobody wants their legacy written in blood. Put down the sword and take out the checkbook.
Just days ago, my administration successfully brokered a historic ceasefire to stop the escalating violence between India and Pakistan. And I used trade to a large extent to do it. I said, fellas, come on, let's make a deal. Let's do some trading. Let's not trade nuclear missiles. Let's trade the things that you make so beautifully.
But if there's no respect, there's no mercy.
I will never hesitate to wield American power if it's necessary to defend the United States or to help defend our allies. And there will be no mercy for any foe who tries to do us or them harm.
That was a message to the Iranians and all their proxies in the region, and for that matter, anyone around the world who gets frisky. It's just day one of the Middle East tour, and Trump's bringing home the bacon, the biggest arms deal in history. Plus, the prince signed over $600 billion in investments, but Trump wants $1 trillion.
The investment in America was up an astounding 22%. More than $10 trillion of new investments have been announced or are coming just since the election on November 5th.
Looks like the experts were wrong again. They said Trump couldn't bring back manufacturing. Now countries are paying us to make their chips. They said tariffs would trigger inflation. Well, it just hit the lowest rate in 4 years. JP Morgan says there isn't going to be a recession, and the stock market is up on the year. Oh, and eggs are cheaper.
Oil is down, eggs are down, food is down. We're seeing that reflected. So all that hysteria over tariffs is not showing up in these numbers.
Why do they keep calling the experts if they're wrong every time? Trump's telling Muslims to stop killing each other and instead make a killing here in America. And it's working. Do you think the Democrats will give him any credit? Nah. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.